Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOpsSchools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials on any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com.
So, hi everyone. So, today we are here to learn more about Ansible. So, what is Ansible, what is configuration management, and all. So, I'll be sharing my screen, and you can once confirm in the chat box if it is visible or not. So, let me share my screen quickly. Yeah. So, can you please confirm that my screen is visible to everyone? Yeah, thank you, Gopi, for your confirmation. Yeah, so uh, to introduce myself, my name is Sahil, and today I'll be conducting a session on all the Ansible topics. So let me just take you to this topics that we'll be covering today. So agenda for today's session will be first of all discussing what is configuration management. Okay, so we need to understand why we are using Ansible itself. So first agenda for today is understanding what is configuration management. Second is introduction to the Ansible. Okay, then Ansible architecture, how Ansible works, what are the components that Ansible have. After that, we'll be doing some hands-on, like installing Ansible on our EC2 instance. So I'll be guiding you how you can create one EC2 instance and how you can start off with Ansible. After that, how Ansible talks with the controller and worker configuration. I mean, there is one controller and others are like client to that controller. So how does that authentication happen? So we'll be doing one small demo there, and we'll be moving ahead with that. After that, we'll discuss what are ad hoc commands. So there is a concept of ad hoc commands in Ansible and why it is used. So that we'll be discussing. Once that is done, we'll see what is the inventory file. So basically, a small introduction of inventory will be done before ad hoc itself. After that, we'll see what is playbook, and after that, what are the popular modules that we use. So don't get confused with terminology. So I'll be explaining everything in details. So after that, we'll write some playbook and we'll see in action like how this particular Ansible is working. Okay, so we'll also see what are the variable templates and all. Okay, so let's just start off with what is the configuration management thing. Okay, what is the configuration management? So you might be aware that whenever you manage some infrastructure, right? Whenever we manage some infrastructure, so there are lots of servers. Like let's say your company has, let's say, 500 servers. Those are running on different regions, maybe, right? So configuration management is nothing but a method to make sure all of your clients, all of your machines are having the same state. Okay, so let me just write this down. What are we learning? So first thing we need to understand, that is what is configuration. What is configuration management? Okay, to learn that, first thing we need to understand what is configuration actually. What is configuration? So you may have multiple nodes. So nodes means nothing but machines in your environment. Okay, now all those machines must have some parameters. So what are those parameters? Like, let's say some packages needs to be there. Let's say your application is a web application, so definitely HTTP, Nginx, all those packages must be there, right? HTTP, Nginx, all those parameters must be there, right? Similarly, let's say if you talk with SSH, so SSH service should be enabled on all of your nodes, right? Whenever there is a server on that particular server, SSH service should be there. After, let's say, for time synchronization, you use NTP service. So NTP or cronny. So let's say you want that cronny service to run on all the nodes. Okay, run on all the nodes. Okay, so all those are like small parameters. After that, you can also have the configurations, like you can say sysctl parameters. Those are like CPU parameters that you can mention. So those you can also mention, like those are nothing but CPU parameters. So what happens in production, we want that all of my configuration, all of my server must have same configuration. That means, let's say if I have several group, okay, let's say if I have several group, let's say some are web servers. You might be aware that any application will consist of majorly two portions. Like this is the mandatory portion that any application will have. So first is, let's say, web services, and second is database services. So any dynamic uh, application will have these services, right? Web service and database service. So what happens whenever you want some packages on the web server? So all of your web server should have some packages, and all of those should maintain some state. So that means the HTTP package should be present there, the services SSH should be started. So all these is nothing but the configurations parameter that we want. Now, what is configuration management? Okay, so this is the configuration thing. Now, what is configuration management? To maintain, let me write here, what is configuration management? What is configuration management? So configuration management means nothing but maintaining a state. Okay, now you might ask, what is the state? So state means, as I have explained earlier, so state is nothing but, let's say if I want to have HTTP running on my all the server, HTTP running or Nginx running on all my web servers. Okay, and let's say if I want that on all the server SSH service should be enabled. So this is one kind of my requirement.
Hey viewers, our Master in DevOps engineering program can help you to hone the skills necessary to succeed in high-level DevOps positions. So what are you waiting for? Enroll now and earn certification that show you are keeping pace with today's technical roles and requirements. Contact info is mentioned in the video sidebars and in the description box. Book your seats for the upcoming batches now.
So this is, you can call it as stage. Now, configuration management, nothing but all of your server, all of your targeted server should have a proper state. That means this proper HTTP package should be there, SSH should be installed. So like that, you can define any state, and based on that, it should maintain some state. Okay. So when I'm talking about 1,000 servers or 500 servers, so manually checking each server for this particular parameters will not be an easy task, right? There will be lots of servers, so you cannot go and check if this package is present or not, this service is running or not. Or let's say if you want to configure something, like let's say if you want to add some host name, okay, configuration management can be also parameter can be host name also, right? So let's say if you want to add some host names to your different host, so you cannot go ahead and like do it manually, right? So in that way, so this configuration management is nothing but maintaining a state. So that means you will define some state. Okay, I want this thing in my environment, and this particular configuration management thing should make it happen. So that means at the end, all of your server must have all the configuration that you are targeting for. So this is a standard definition from Red Hat. Since I have taken this from Red Hat, since we are learning today Ansible, which is maintained by Red Hat itself. So configuration management is a process for maintaining computer system servers and software in desired consistent state. So I have mentioned what is state and what is desired state. That means I want some HTTP package or something like that should be present and service should be started. So that is my desired state. And consistent means on all the server, like let's say there are 500 servers. So on all the server, I need that same thing to be happen because I am running production. So I don't want like because of any one server there is some issue and all, right? So this is basic about like what configuration management is. So, and what happens if there is a misconfiguration? So let's say if there is some misconfiguration in your environment, so that can be very disastrous. Let's say if there is a NTP service is not running on some servers, so what will happen? There will be a time difference, and while you try to access your application, there might be some issues at the user end also. So we don't want that thing to happen. So that's why we are using some configuration management tools. Now next thing is, if you have let's say 500 servers, and if those are like spread over all the regions and everything, but you are not able to identify which servers are web server, which servers are DB servers, then it will be also a very disastrous thing, right? So in if using this configuration management, you can maintain some grouping system there, like some will be web server, some, so it will be so it is called as inventory, we'll be discussing. So basically this thing will help you to manage your infrastructure in a better way. Okay, so this is a basic introduction to what is a configuration management. Now let me talk more about Ansible. So today's session is mostly based on Ansible, so let me talk more about Ansible here. So let me share this documentation with you. All right. So let us talk more about Ansible. So why we are using Ansible? Okay, why we are using Ansible, and what is it? So as we have talked like a lot about what is configuration, what is state, and what all things. But to maintain those things, we require some software. Okay, so Ansible is nothing but so it has multiple functions. Okay, but one of the function is like configuration management. So we can call Ansible as a configuration management tool. Okay, it is open source tool, and the documentation has a rich database. Like you can it is, since it is open source, everything you can go and check on your official documentation itself. So now why do we need an Ansible? So as I have talked more about, like we want a consistent state all over your servers. So to maintain that, we require the Ansible. So how do Ansible do all those things that we discuss, right? We have this requirement, but how do Ansible will do all those things? So I was talking about like multiple terms in the agenda, like terminology. So let me first describe what the basic terminology means. Okay. So in Ansible terms, first thing we are discussing here is a controller machine. So what is controller machine? So let me first tell you one greatest feature of Ansible, and that is Ansible is a agentless. So what do you mean by agentless thing? So agentless means you need not to install anything on your client machine. So that is the main thing here that we are that's why Ansible is being used widely. Ansible, to install Ansible, you have to just install one package on your controller machine itself. You need not to go ahead and install anything on your client machines. And once you install Ansible on your master machine or controller machine, after that it will do its job automatically. So I am talking here about controller machine. So what is controller machine? So the machine on which Ansible will be installed, and the machine from which we will be controlling all our infrastructure will be called as a controller machine. Okay, so the machine on which we are installing the Ansible, the machine we are on where we are installing the Ansible, and which will be communicating with all our client will be called as a controller machine. Okay, then what is the inventory? So I talked about controller machine, right? We will be installing Ansible on this particular controller machine, and we'll be then running, as I'm mentioning, we'll be managing those 500 and 1000 servers, right? So what is this inventory? So inventory is nothing but, so you will require to provide some host, right? I mean the client list. So all those client lists you can add in the inventory file. So what is inventory? Inventory is nothing but list of your client machine where you want to run the particular application, or where you want to make.
Hey viewers, trying to get into DevSecOps? Enroll for our DevSecOps certified professional programs and earn the certification that shows you are fit for these technical roles and requirements. Contact info is mentioned in the video sidebars and in the description box. Book your seats for the upcoming batches now.
Some configuration changes. So that's what the inventory file is. So controller machine is nothing but where you will be installing the Ansible and controlling all the client machine. And inventory is nothing but a file wherein you will put all your worker machines or client machines IP addresses or names and all. So we'll be discussing this inventory in coming section. So let me just go ahead and tell you what is the playbook. Okay. So third thing we are discussing here is a playbook. So what is the Ansible playbook? So playbook, you can think of it as, let's say, you can categorize. I'll explain this using some drawing tool so that you will be more you will be getting it in a better way. So let me just open one drawing tool here. Okay, so as I was talking about this particular playbook, so what is the playbook? So let's understand from the basics. Let's say you got one task. Okay, so there are 500 servers. Let's say you have 500 servers, and on those 500 server, let's say you want to deploy the web server. So let's say on those 500 servers, you want to deploy a web server, and you do have the web content as, let's say, hello world. Okay, let's say you have a web page to deploy on those 500 servers, and the content is hello world. So what happens whenever you want to create some web server? So there must be some steps, right? There must be some steps like how a web server is created. So basically, whenever you try to deploy any web server, so I will tell you one basic procedure how to create the web servers. Okay, how do we create the web servers? So for to create web server, the first and foremost thing would be installing the packages. Okay, installing the packages would be the first thing here. What we need to do on any Linux server when you want to install something. So installing the packages would be the first thing that we will be doing. Okay, now what is the next thing? So first you will install this package here, and once you install this packages, you will start some service. Okay, once you install this package, next thing what you do, you start a service. Okay, you start a service. So next step would be starting a service. Okay, starting a service. Now what will be the next thing? So once you install some package, like let's say HTTP package you have installed, you started service, HTTP service. But to display the web page, you will need to have some file, right? In that file you will have some content, so you will create some file. Okay, so third step would be, I would be saying, creating index.html file, wherein that you can put any data like hello world or anything. So these are the three basic steps of creating some web servers. So how I'm gonna map this thing as our terms in terms of Ansible. So you see there are three things that we are doing. First thing is installing package, second is starting a service, and third we are creating some index.html. So this small task that we are doing, this small thing that we are doing is called as a task. Okay, so this small thing that we are doing here, like installing a package, is task 1. Okay, this is task 1. Okay, starting a service is a task 2. You can say this is a task 2. Creating a HTML page is a task 3. So these are set of tasks that we are doing, right? So this, so any small thing, that any configuration change that you are doing is called as a task. Okay, now when you add those tasks, like this is like creating a web server. So when you have some tasks that will lead you to some better output, or I would say a productive output, like creating a web page, web server itself. So that particular thing will be called as a play. Okay, that particular thing will be called as a play. So what is the play? Play is nothing but task 1 plus task 2 plus task 3. Okay, so play is nothing but task 1 plus task. So play is a set of tasks that we are applying. And what is playbook? So playbook is nothing but where the play is written. So playbook is nothing but where the play is written. So as playbook, what do we mean by book? Book is nothing but like a file, right? So playbook is nothing but a file where this play is written. And what is the play? Play is nothing but your set of tasks. And what is the task? Task is like making some changes, like installing a package, starting a service, and creating index.html. So we have successfully understood like what is the playbook. So playbook is nothing but what I mentioned, is a file where we write some place, and it is defined in the YAML format. So we'll be learning what YAML format in the coming section. So after that, what is a task? So task is nothing like, as I mentioned, a block that defines a single procedure to be executed, like installing a package. So we have discussed that. Now we have also discussed what is a play. So running all the things from start to end, like running from all those tasks from start to end, will be called as a play, and where it is written, that file will be called as a playbook. Now let's understand what is the module. So module will be, in the coming section, will be using lots of modules. So let's first understand what is the module. Okay, so let us first understand what is the module here. So what module means. Okay. So what happens now? I'm like boasting lots of about like Ansible. Ansible is a great tool, and we can do we do this thing, we can do lots of thing and all. But then how this Ansible will be doing those things? Okay, so module is nothing but, you can think this module as a inbuilt. Okay, so inbuilt Python scripts. Okay, so nothing but module is nothing but inbuilt Python scripts that Ansible is providing. So let's say when you want to install some package. Okay, so when we are on Linux Red Hat system, what we do, we run the command yum install. Okay, yum is an installer. You can use any installer, like in Linux based system or Fedora based system, we use this yum installer, right? On Ubuntu system, we use apt get. So this command we use. So these are nothing but your package managers. So this module is nothing but, so let's say now I'm using yum package manager to install any package on my particular client machine. So this module is nothing but a Python script that is provided by Ansible itself, and it has the predefined syntax. So that means if I go ahead and if I search Ansible modules, so if I search Ansible modules, and you will see that docs.ansible.com is nothing but your open. So all the official documentation is there. So you will understand that Ansible provides lots of modules. By default modules it will provide. Okay, so these are all the modules that it provides. Okay, but how to use it? So let's say when you want to install some package. Okay, when you want to install some package, so what you will do, let's say you will write the yum, right? So I am just searching yum, and you will notice that this yum module is provided by default by the Ansible. Okay, so this yum is nothing but so in the back end, what happens, it has one file, py file, Python file, and in that it has they have mentioned like what will happen.
Hey viewers, are you looking for formal training on SRE practices? Take our SRE program. This course will teach you how to successfully implement site reliability engineering in the modern day 24/7 services. Kickstart your SRE training today. Contact info is mentioned in the video sidebars and in the description box. Book your seats for the upcoming batches now.
Happen if you try to use the yum module. Okay, so you will understand this once we go like once we move ahead in the section, we will understand what the module is. For now, what you can think module as it is kind of a Python script that is inbuilt and provided through the Python, and you will be using that to do your task like installing a package. Okay, so all right, so let's go ahead and learn. So role I'll be discussing later. I don't want to get into roles, facts, and handlers. So I'll be explaining this in the later section. So what we have discussed until now, we have discussed what is controller. We have so controller is nothing but where Ansible is installed. We have discussed what is inventory. So inventory is list of all your client machine. What is playbook? Playbook is a file where all the plays, like play is written, complete play is written. And then what is the play? Play is set of tasks that we are running from top to bottom. And then what is task? Task is like a small block that will do some configuration changes. And what is module? Module will be used to achieve the task specified using some Python file that is provided by your Ansible itself. Okay, so this is a basic terminology that we need to understand before we move ahead. After that, let's quickly go ahead and check what are the advantages of Ansible. Okay, let's quickly check that. So yeah, it is very simple. Since I am mentioning that I have mentioned that I'll be using YAML language. Okay, so YAML language is nothing but yet another markup language, and it is very human friendly language. So it is not like any JSON language that you want to write and you will have to keep you will have to make sure that all the syntax are correct, and there are lots of things. So not like that. The YAML is very simple. It is very human readable format, so you will be able to see. So the first thing and for Ansible is like it is very simple to use. The next thing that I'm discussing here is the agentless. So as I mentioned, you don't need to install anything on your client machines. You just need to install a Ansible package on your host machine or the controller machine. So that's it. It will work in the backend. So how that is gonna work, that we'll be seeing, but you need not to install anything on your client machine. So that is why I am calling it as a agentless. Now powerful and flexible. So what is powerful and flexible? So installing Ansible is just like a 2 commands on your Linux. So installation is very easy and you can simply go ahead and use the features directly out of the box. After that, it is very efficient. So let's say you have 500 servers. So when you if you want to do some changes and you want to write some Python script, it will take some, much time. But since it is by default, as I am saying, it is ready to out of box, you can use. So it is very efficient and you can go ahead and run whatever you want. You can quickly install the packages that you want. Okay. Now what Ansible can do? So as I mentioned, the configuration manage is just one thing that Ansible can do. But Ansible has a ability to do multiple things like provisioning. So what is the provisioning? So let's say you want to create a complete infrastructure. You want to create infrastructure on your Amazon AWS, or let's say you have a data center and you want to create a complete infrastructure on your VMware vSphere. So that can be also achieved by using Ansible. So Ansible is also called as an infrastructure as a code tool. So that means you can write some YAML file and it will create an infrastructure for you. The next thing is configuration management that we have already discussed. And third thing is application deployment. So Ansible can also be used to deploy some applications. So let's say to move some files from one place to 100 servers, you can use this Ansible. So that is why it can be also used as the Ansible as a application deployment tool. Okay. Now next thing is like security and compliance. So yeah, you can define multiple roles there. Like you can define multiple compliances and all. Like there are modules specific to the security that you can also use. So yeah, lots of things are there that you can use. Like there is a procedure how you can use how you can assign the particular permissions to the Ansible user. Okay. And it is also called as a orchestration tool because you are managing like complete servers through that particular Ansible tool. Okay. So these are the basic things that the Ansible can do. Okay. And we have learned the basic terminology about the Ansible. And Ansible is nothing but a configuration management tool. And we have learned about what is configuration management tool also. Okay. So we have completed the configuration management. What is configuration management? And we have just got a brief introduction of what Ansible is. Now let's go ahead and understand how the Ansible, how this particular Ansible works. Or let's go ahead and try to understand how the architecture will look like. Okay, how the architecture will look like. So let me show you one diagram, and that with that diagram it will be more clear to you like what we are doing here. So in Ansible, as I mentioned, the Ansible will be installed on only one server. That will be your controller node. That's what you call it, the controller node. On that Ansible node, the following four parameters like so first thing is inventory. So we have discussed what is inventory. Inventory is nothing but a list of client machines, right? Next thing is modules. So modules we have discussed, those are like inbuilt Python files that Ansible uses to perform some tasks. After that, you see some new things here like API and plugin. Okay. So what is this API? So what happens when we are talking about when I'm mentioning that you can use Ansible with your AWS, with your Azure or any cloud platform. So that means this Ansible need to have something inbuilt that can talk with the cloud APIs. So as you might be aware that cloud, that AWS and Azure, all those public clouds will provide some kind of API. So to talk with them, you can use this API. So Ansible also has this inbuilt API feature, or it is a component you can call Ansible's component that will be required when you communicate with the cloud environment. Okay. And what is this plugin? So this plugin is nothing but you can think of extending your Ansible's functionality. So let's say now you want to let's say you want to run something on your let's say on your 500 nodes. So let's say you want to have the information of those 500 nodes. In the information can be like the name of those hosts and all those things. So and you want to store that in cache. So that what happens every time you need not to create you need not to go ahead and check what is there in your inventory file. So these plugins I will be discussing more once we will see some example of these plugins. So plugin is nothing but we are extending the functionality of your Ansible, and it will add up some more functionalities. Like it will do its job in the backend while you perform some Ansible task. In the backend, it will use some modules. So for that module, this plugin will provide some information. So that's it. Like you can think of it as a cache. In layman terms, in your machine, in your web browser, you store some cache. So whenever you go to same website, it uses that cache data to proceed faster. So that means your processing time reduces. So similar way, plugin can be used to increase your productivity and save your time for this particular thing. Now, what is the CMDB? Now, this CMDB is nothing but a database where all your configuration management details are there. So, what is the configuration management details? So, let's say in some organization they maintain a database wherein they have all the information about all those. Like let's say this server belongs to the HP server, this server belongs to the Dell server. So all those things are maintained in a single way. Like it has 8 GB RAM, it has 6 interfaces. So all those information is stored in one place. That is called as a configuration management database. So Ansible can directly talk with that configuration management database and take all the required information to proceed the tasks. Okay. And on the right section, you will be able to see that there are some users. So user can directly talk with Ansible using ad hoc commands that we'll be seeing in shortly. And user can also use the Ansible playbook to talk with your Ansible automation engine. So that's all about the basic architecture that Ansible is using. So I'll repeat quickly. So what are the basic Ansible architecture? So it has 4 components as I have mentioned. First is the inventory file. Second is the module, third is API, and fourth is plugin. What is inventory file? Inventory file is nothing but a file where you will be putting all your client information like IPs of your client machine.
Thanks for watching. Want to study further? Join our training programs today.